An open water scuba certification class in Houston, Texas. We decided to buddy up for our diving exercises for the week and ended up having a pretty good time together in the process. On the last day of the course, as everyone was saying their goodbyes and packing up to leave, I was wondering if Mitch had enjoyed being my scuba buddy as much as I enjoyed being his. And I was hoping he was going to ask for my number so we could hang out again. He didn't. But I knew I would have been mad at myself if I didn't at least try to keep in touch with him, because even though we didn't really know each other that well at that point, I had a feeling he could turn into a very important part of my life. So I asked for his number, and I'm so glad I did. Whoops. I still remember the very first time that we hung out. He invited me over to his apartment to hang out by the pool and eat some brats. And when I went over to his apartment, he was grabbing the brats, some mustard, and some beers, and I was checking out his place, trying to gather data to help me understand more about my new friend. Most of it was exactly what I expected. The very bare, bordering on sad living quarters of a young, nerdy bachelor. I felt kind of like I was back at my place, until I noticed he actually had something on one of his walls. It was about a 12 by 12 piece of art that said TS 1989 on it. I figured this was some deeply meaningful painting or a piece of his childhood, for it to be the only thing on any of his apartment walls. So I asked him about it. Apparently the TS stood for Taylor Swift. In 1989 was one of her albums. All of this new information, combined with the excitement I could see in Mitch's face as he was educating me, left me really rethinking what I was doing there. But I figured if I like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, who am I to throw stones at Swifties? Recently I asked Kara about one of her favorite memories of her and Mitch, and she told me about the time they went to the premiere of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie. And they both had such a great time dancing for the whole 3 hours. Mitch didn't even seem to notice or care that he was one of the only guys there. And while I didn't ask him about this directly, I'm guessing he didn't care one bit, because he felt like even if the crowd was full of other dudes, he would have still felt like the luckiest one of all, because he was there with the woman of his dreams, T-Swift. As if that wasn't cute enough, Kara and Mitch had such a great time that night that for the past 2 years, they celebrate the memory by reliving it, making dinner at home, putting their little disco ball up in their living room, playing the Eras Tour movie, and dancing the night away together. It's literally one of the cutest things I've ever heard. And speaking about hearing about cute things, I remember the first time I heard about Kara. Sometime early February 2023, I remember having a phone call with Mitch, just catching up, talking about work, life, dating, and some potential trips we wanted to take. I was really excited about 2023. It was going to be our year. You see, for basically our entire friendship, either one or both of us had a girlfriend, so we never got to go out together, which I thought would be a ton of fun. Mitch got out of a long relationship at the end of 2022, a few months after I became single for the first time in years. I was so excited for all the shenanigans we would surely get into that year, and we were planning some big things. Then on the phone call, he tells me about one of the girls he went on a date with, and something about the way he spoke of her just gave me an unsettling feeling. They hadn't been talking long, but something seemed different about this one. He sent me a pic of her on February 6th, and then it was confirmed. I had reason to be concerned. My response to the pic was understandably, quote, "Yowza, dude," with a clapping hands emoji. Now, Mitch is a handsome dude, right? Great personality, calves the size of tree trunks, and he brings a lot to the table. But this was a great get even for him. And he knew it. Thinking that maybe he was just lost in lust over this new care girl and hoping there wouldn't be enough substance under the surface for them to maintain an actual relationship, I started probing about whether they had anything in common or could talk about things easily or laugh together or any of the things that I thought good relationships were made of. Much to my surprise and disappointment, they seemed to have all of that in spades, even from the very beginning. In fact, when talking to Mitch recently about their first date at the Snug, he said he remembers having a great conversation and being really comfortable, which he thought was nice because of how out of his league he thinks Kara is. Kara felt the same way too. She told me that from the very beginning of their Bumble communications, their conversations were always easy and comfortable for her, which was rare in her experience, and especially surprising considering Mitch's profile read, quote, "I might be a robot." So a few more natural, comfortable conversations later and a few more dates, including a homemade pasta dinner and an impromptu escape to Napa for the weekend, I got a text from Mitch saying, "I don't think I'm single anymore." I was devastated for me, but so happy for my friend. He and Kara were swept up in a whirlwind romance, that hopeless romantics the world over dream of, complete with all the corny and grand gestures, growing pains, and deep bonding moments found in your favorite rom-coms. I was so excited to meet this woman that Mitch had such incredible things to say about, and I finally got my chance in May of 2023, just a few months after they started talking. Mitch and I were doing a ski trip to Tahoe, so I got to spend a day with Karin in Sacramento before we set out the following day for our bro time. I remember getting picked up from the airport and seeing them both in the car. Mitch looked like a caveman. He had grown his hair and beard out. Kara looked as radiant as she always does, even better than in the pictures I had seen. We talked the entire ride back to the house and then for several hours once we got there. Kara was shy, but sweet, and very easy to talk to. And they were just so cute together. After that brief interaction, Kara definitely had my stamp of approval, especially since she was cool with letting Mitch come to a music festival in Alabama with me a week later. And that ended up being one of the best weekends of my life, so I'm truly grateful that she was okay letting us have that time together. I wanted to get to know her better, but you know how life gets busy. They had a lot of new things that they wanted to do as a new couple, so we didn't get to see each other again until September of 2024, when we went to the Telluride Film Festival together. My girlfriend Rosary and I decided to fly to Denver to make the road trip with Mitch and Kara, because I thought it would be an awesome way to get more quality time with Mitch and to finally get a chance to really know Kara. There aren't many people in this world that I love enough to want to spend 6 hours in a car with him. But Mitch is on that short list. We had a great time. The four of us talked the entire way. And for 6 hours, Mitch drove and he and Kara held hands the entire time. We had a few pit stops for snacks and potty breaks. Kara and I have pretty small bladders. Listened to Kara's playlist, which had a lot of the same songs I had on mine. And after a few hours of learning about a multitude of things that Kara and I shared, Rosary said what the other three of us were probably thinking. Kara is basically a better version of me in girl form. It was hilarious, and it also made me feel a little less jealous about being relegated to a tertiary level of priority in Mitch's life. He found himself a great partner, and that car ride struck me as a bit of a metaphor for the journey of love and marriage that this couple is embarking on. There was a rush of excitement at the start, with the promise of the adventure ahead, and the scenery changing so quickly from the urban Denver sights to the quiet, manicured suburbs to the majestic views of the open mountain countryside. There were times when we were hauling ass at 90 miles per hour, and times when we had to take it slow, stuck behind what seemed like a never-ending line of vehicles in our way. We went from really energized and alert to tired, hungry, and kind of worn out. We had to refuel and rest and get right back on the road, consistently making our way towards our common goal. The idyllic little town of Telluride, tucked so perfectly into the mountains, so far away from where we started. But Karin and Mitch taught me a really important lesson that day. The goal wasn't really in getting to Telluride as quickly as possible. That was just another stop along the way. The goal was to enjoy the time we had together, to cherish all of the moments, the hopeful, energetic, and exciting ones, and the slower, possibly frustrating, and even exhausting ones. It wasn't about where we were on the road or who else was driving around us. It wasn't even about the pretty views outside the car or the great tunes we were listening to. It was about who we chose to be on that road with. It was about the other voices we hit harmonies with as we sang along without caring about whether we hit the right notes or not. It was about the views inside the car and the realization that when Karin and Mitch looked at each other, they were seeing something they had been waiting a lifetime to see. And it was better than even the most beautiful snow-capped mountain range. They were looking at the partner they knew they were deciding to go on the greatest journey of all with. And they knew that it didn't matter what was on the road ahead of them, as long as they were on that road together. So Mitch and Karin, I stand here today so humbled and enchanted to be a witness to your love story, and so honored to be a small part of your lives. You are both such incredibly special people independently, but when y'all are together, you transform into something hard to really put into words, and I wish I could do it justice. All I can do is try to get close. When I am with you, it is like I am seeing two people vibrate at their most optimal frequencies, or like two lights that when put close together, help each other radiate with a new kind of brightness they always knew existed within, but were never quite able to safely unleash and show the world all the beauty and magic that was just waiting for the right spark to ignite. You have something so special and rare in each other. And we are all here today to celebrate the love you choose to nurture and protect every single day. We all wish you the very best of luck on what will surely be an extremely fulfilling, silly, challenging, enlightening, and happy life together. Thank you for letting us all be a part of your lives in this incredibly special moment. We love you both so much. And now, it's time for you. And now it's time for you to exchange the vows that you prepared for each other. One second.
I've written this 1,000 times, and it always seems to sound better in my head than on paper. And I can't seem to put the words come to the truth. I'm truly thankful that you came into my life. You have saved me in more ways than I could ever express. You brought me back the light in my life. I thought I lost you forever. Thank you for taking a chance on a broken heart. Although there are visible cracks in it, and a part that will always be missing, you've taken the time to patch it back together. With your patience, your gentle disposition, your genuine kindness, you always hold my hand, even while you're driving station. Or a small walk to the treadmill in the morning. The way you want to take home every animal you see. Your pet. Not even puppies and cats. The random ones like crows. And in my head, I think this is wonderful, sweet man.
Rose body?
I always had a fear of living, ghosts that kept me trapped in the past. But you had this wonderful way of bringing me back to the present, making me excited for the future. Our soft dances in the kitchen, our dance parties, homemade heroes tour, our endless conversations on the back porch, and usually as a shy person who has not much to say. For some reason, I can talk your ear off about everything in life. A lot of times I don't make much sense, or can't articulate or find the right words, but you sit there and you listen and you never judge. You're contributing. I remember us talking earlier on in our relationship, and I was apologizing for how weird I truly was and am. And you told me you loved me more each day the weirder I got, and you could spend a lifetime trying to interpret what I'm saying, and that was probably one of the sweetest things anyone has ever said to me. And I cannot wait to spend the rest of our lifetime creating our own language. It feels like I had to wait 1,000 lifetimes for you to find me, but I would wait 1,000 more. You're worth the journey, the ups and downs, and I know in every space and time we will find each other, because you are the man I never knew I always needed. The love of my life, my soulmate. I promise to love you with all my heart. It's like you have mine. Oh, sorry. With all my sorry. It's hot to take care of you, protect you with all of my heart, like you have mine. Hold hands with you until you're old and gray. I love you, always and forever.
Karin, standing here with you today is the easiest decision I've ever made. It has been a long road, for me as well as you. But I'm grateful that for every moment that has led me. Before I met you, I could have never imagined how much joy there was to me. I was never comfortable being myself in front of another person or able to share my true feelings. And with you, all of those things just came so incredibly easy. You've helped me just forget about all of my past mistakes. And I've lost all self-doubt I've ever had when I look at you. You've taught me so much. How to make every night count like it's our last night, no matter what we're doing. How to season food properly, aka actually use spices.
Season food properly.
How to have slap dances in the kitchen. How to talk endlessly on the deck and listen to music and play silly games all night. How to create lasting memories through random acts like destroying an old table for a smash night. Or hitting a pinata just between the two of us on Cinco de Mayo. Or throwing plates out on New Year's Eve with all the demons getting on them. The first time I saw your beauty and I felt your touch, it changed my life. I've never met somebody so sensitive and thoughtful and makes everyone feel so special. And I'm lucky I'm one of you. I promise that I'll always be there to hold your hand, that I'll never grow tired of looking at your beautiful face, and I'll have eyes only for you. That I'll be there to hold you when you are crying, and I'll always be patient with your feelings. And strive to always give you something to look forward to every day, no matter how small or silly it is. And I love you, Bubby, with all my heart.
Okay, so now we move on to the ring ceremony. All right, so Mitch, do you take this woman Mitch, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to live together in matrimony, to love her, comfort her, honor and keep her in sickness and in health, in sorrow and joy, to have and to hold from this day forward, as long as you both shall live? I do. Care? Yeah, sorry, Mitch, go ahead and put the ring on. All right. Care? Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to live together in matrimony, to love him, comfort him, honor and keep him in sickness and in health, in sorrow and in joy, to have and to hold from this day forward, as long as you both shall live? Go ahead and place Congratulations, you two. By the power vested in me by the state of California, I now pronounce y'all husband and wife. Now you may kiss the bride. And now present for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. Berggren, everybody.
And this isn't a Taylor Swift song, is it?
Okay.